All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah.
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to celebrate this thing called football. 18 weeks, and that is not a mighty long time, but we're so happy that NFL football is back, baby. Colby Marcio, Ryan Sartori, episode 144 of the Missed Call podcast.
It was the night before the kickoff.
And all through the
One
house.
Ryan, one Colby, doing a podcast the day before for the listeners to listen to the day of the NFL kickoff. Little Lions, little Chiefs, snuggled in their beds.
With visions of
Inject this into my
footballs and touchdowns dancing in their heads and all the good stuff. So, listen, we've got an awful lot to get into in this episode. We are going to talk about Colorado and the Buffaloes and their week 1 victory over TCU. We've got some things to say about that, but predominantly, this is going to be your NFL preview episode for the season that stands before us on this day. September, what will be September 7th in the year 2023 of our good Lord, our football-loving Lord.
Patrick Mahomes. Our Lord and Savior.
Yeah. I was going to say Chris Berman. I was going to say Chris Berman, but yes. What? Yeah, so let's get into this. Let's talk Colorado because that was the biggest story of the Labor Day weekend of week 1 of college football. Was
still big
Colorado
now.
Shocking TCU, who's ranked 17 coming in preseason. And you're right, it is still a big story today. There's still some aftershocks that are finding their way through the sports world. A lot of that is because we don't have NFL yet to talk about. So let's talk about Colorado and the Buffaloes and their upset of TCU in Fort
Worth.
I almost said Fort Wayne, but I was like, that's Indiana.
No, sir. Ray, that ain't where you're going, baby. TCU, Colorado. I doubted them. I said they were going to get the doors blown off. I was wrong. And I told you, Ryan, a million times, I love being proven wrong. It's my favorite thing. It's a beautiful sight to see when you're proven wrong so badly that a team that brings in 70-plus guys, a new head coach, new culture, they only won one game last season, comes into Fort Worth and upsets the number 17th team in the country. It was a beautiful sight to see. It was a beautiful thing for sports. If you love underdogs, you love this, regardless if you don't like Deion Sanders or not. It was an underdog story that was in the making, but we didn't know it was coming week 1.
No, I don't think anybody could have predicted that Colorado would give us the story of the year maybe in week 1. Here's the thing. I am elated for Colorado. I'm elated for Coach Prime. I'm elated for the players that don the Buffalo uniform. I am, though, curious that if this is what it takes for Colorado to pick up a win, if it is, I'm not saying that it is, but if it is, where Shadur Bob Sanders has to go off for 510 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Say his name.
Shadur Bob.
Shadur
Sanders. If Travis Hunter has to play 130 snaps in every game, then that's an awful tall task to ask of these young men on a week in, week out basis. But if maybe it doesn't take that. Maybe TCU ends up being a top 10 team by the end of the year based off of what they do throughout the course of the season. And it just happened that they needed this effort on this Saturday to win against the Horned Frogs. Then they're in a good spot. But if this is what it takes to win even against the Nebraskas and the lower ranking teams of the Pac-12, then it's going to be a long season.
Their schedule's tough.
It is.
Regardless, Big Ten, I knew you were saying. I'm just messing with you.
Did I say Big Ten? I meant Pac-12.
No, you said Pac-12 for Nebraska.
No, but I'm saying the lower ranking teams of the Pac-12, meaning that Colorado is going to have to play those lower ranking teams later in the year.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is stacked. People don't know that. They were undefeated week 1. That's never been happened. Or I think, yeah, it's never happened before. Every Pac-12 team went undefeated in week 1.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And you bring up Nebraska. The Buffs are the number 1 bet on team for week 2, regardless of NFL and college football. They are the most bet team. They are 3.5 point favorite.
The video that you put up on our Instagram, Matt Call Podcast,
ain't gonna age well.
You don't think so?
No.
But you put up the video
I don't want
saying
it to.
like
I don't want it to.
You want to be proven wrong on it, but even still, the video that you put up was like, "Hey man, you saw Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter play one game."
Yeah.
And you're just slamming Heisman bets on both of these guys.
Yeah.
Now, when we looked at the odds, I guess they didn't necessarily spike as low as I thought they were, but they have moved now, which makes the value on them change just a bit. But like on Saturday, every Chad in the world was like, "I'm gonna cash in on this, bro. This is gonna be easy money, bro. Deion Sanders bro? No way. He's gonna win fucking Heisman, dude."
It's just people don't realize the letdown spot that they're in this week. They upset the 17th ranked team in the country. They came out with a lot of juice, and like you build up so much for week 1, and you got to play a team that was runner up last year. You build it up, and you do it. Now you have to go play Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers, who are a laughing stock. They are a joke. Still, it opened I think at 8. They were 8.5. They were an 8-point dog. But now it's flipped around. They're a 4-point favorite, basically. It's a trap. It is the biggest trap I've ever seen to this day. If I had to bet on it, I'm going to hammer Nebraska just based off fading the public because it just makes no sense. Sure, we could totally see the Buffaloes winning by 50.
Yeah.
Still, why is the spread so low? That is a trap that smells. It stinks.
And if you want to learn more about trap games and trap weeks and how value works on bets and stuff like that, you can head over, not right now, but you can always check out Colby's solo venture, the Up Your Units podcast, which is a great way for you to learn as you gamble through this football season, both with college and with the pros. Again, we're going to get to NFL talk in just a minute. But I know we talked about this last week, Colby, but I want to talk about it this week too. The Colorado schedule, which, by the way, Colorado's ranked 22nd in the country now. They were unranked.
I was shocked they ranked them. I was really shocked.
But it doesn't it just feel like here's a pin. Here's a little memento for knocking off a top 25 team, because if you're not top 10 or like close to top 10, it really doesn't matter that you're ranked.
I mean, it kind of felt like the AP was like, like you said, here's a token for everyone doubting you in week 1. Yeah. Here's a bone for everyone doubting you in week 1, and you did it.
You made us a shit ton of money this week.
I'm not disrespecting the Buffaloes was saying that. I'm just saying I was shocked they ranked them. You went 1 and whatever last year.
I don't think that the AP has any stake in the monies that the NCAA makes. But either way, like, you made the NCAA a lot of money this week. Here is a bone that we're going to throw you. But the schedule for Colorado moving forward is Nebraska, which is winnable, Colorado State, which is winnable. So this team could start 3-0. But then it's on to play Oregon at the end of September, USC September 30th, Arizona State in October.
I don't know.
Stanford in October, UCLA in October. Then in November, the schedule gets harder as they have to play Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, and they close out the year with Utah. Now, if I'm looking at this realistically, Arizona State, Stanford, UCLA, Arizona, and Washington State could all be very winnable games for this team if what we saw wasn't a fluke. And if what we saw on Saturday isn't what it takes for them to win every single game.
Yeah, it's just
you know what I mean?
I need 3 games. We'll come back in 2 weeks. I will have my taste and my beliefs on the Buffaloes. I need a 3-game sample size, and usually after 3 games, I'll be set.
Okay.
I can't really say anything else on it.
We will come back after the Colorado State game on September 16th and have a more in-depth conversation about Colorado.
Mark it down. Set your reminders.
Mark, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your friends. The last thing that I want
Put
to
it on
talk
the
about
fridge.
before we get away from Colorado is you've seen college teams, pro teams have the C's on their chest for captain. Well,
Yep.
you had asked me the question when the news came out that the L's and D's on the chest of Colorado players stands for leaders and dogs. You had asked me, is that corny?
Yeah.
The answer that I'll come up with is no, it's not corny, because I think that it's just another tool to get young men to buy into a game that requires an incredible amount of discipline and sometimes a little extra incentive. You can't throw money in a contract for them like you can at the NFL level. And it probably works a little bit better than stickers on your helmet. I think the L's for leaders, the D's for dogs is a great incentive tool for players. And I think, maybe you and I don't get it. Maybe you and I don't understand it. But Deion Sanders has two things that we couldn't have if we were coaching Colorado. Number one, this guy's got extreme playing experience, both at the college level and the professional level, and knows how men want to be leaded in those areas, in those situations. Number two, Deion Sanders is a black man leading a group of predominantly black men. And maybe there's something to that you and I just won't get, and it's not our place to say that's dumb, stupid, or corny. So
I mean, it's also a unique way to motivate somebody. It's different. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool. He's got the C. Yeah. Now that I let it marinate, I thought it was corny at first. I'm letting it marinate. It's unique. I mean, everything you do for the first time is going to be called corny. Like like you said before, the stickers. Somebody said it's corny. My dad hates it. My dad's old school, so it's probably a cool thing to do. If my dad thinks it's lame, it's probably fucking awesome.
But think about like the turnover chains now, right? Like there's a possibility that 5 years from now, the L's and the D's are overplayed and other programs have adopted them and made them their own things and whatever. And then it starts to get a little corny because for
him.
Tell
me about that. Now, if it came out like dogs, that's cool. Leader, it's basically just a synonym for captain. If you had a freaking H, Ryan, just
for him,
right on your chest, for him,
and you get like a clip. You get a clip.
If you had
on the
HD,
sideline.
if you had HD, Ryan, him plus dog, you're him and a dog,
and high definition.
Hey. You can see him clearly.
So again, I don't know that it's even if I thought it was corny, I don't know that it's my place to call it corny or weird or dumb or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that in the future, maybe it is because other people try to adopt it and make it theirs and it's dumb. Like the turnover chain. When Miami did that like 3 years ago and they had their turnover chain, that was fucking sick. That was so cool. But now it's everywhere.
Now everyone's got it. It's in baseball. They moved to baseball.
Some aren't even cool. Some of them are just like foam that they got off of Amazon that they're like, this is cool, right? This is our version.
Are you Patrick Mahomes?
This is our version of the turnover chain. We made our own.
Hey, can you say, are you ready for Thursday night kickoff?
Are you guys ready for the Thursday night kickoff? We're gonna play the Lions. I don't think it's anywhere close, but you're laughing, so that's good enough for me. I love ketchup on my steaks.
Some sloppy steaks.
It's not gravelly enough. It's got to be like down here and gravelly. Like now I sound like Louis Armstrong. I don't know. This might be the perfect transition. Into NFL, the season before us, 2023, 2024. Man, there's so much to talk about. There's so many storylines. There's so many question marks that we have to have answered. And I don't I don't even know if we can get into all of them, but I think the easiest way to break down some of the scenarios is to do the tried and true walk through the divisions. And, in the case of like the NFC West, it's going to be quick. We're not going to have a whole lot to say about the Arizona Cardinals because what is there to say about a team that is very clearly trying to tank and get in a situation where they can make their quarterback situation even more murky and fucked up?
I mean, Josh Dobbs going to get it done. They're going to win every single game with him. He was just named their starter. He's the GOAT. He is the smartest man on that field.
But furthermore,
people forget Ryan.
In the same division, it's a big bounce back year for the Rams. And what will the Rams do? And will the Seahawks continue to grow? And do the 49ers, have they met their ceiling, or are they going to, break through that? Whatever. We're going to talk about kind of the entire NFL and what we think, might be the case, what we think might happen. And honestly, we're kind of doing this off the cuff right now, so I'm excited for it.
You sound lost. I think you're just excited.
I am. I don't know really where to put my excitement.
How about? I mean, I know you brought up the West. How about you just tell the people about the team you are currently wearing almost every single piece of clothing for?
Yeah,
yeah, they're probably Tyler Witts too. Let me set this up. Who is number 7? First of all, Halas,
George Papa Bear Halas.
Yeah. Okay. We live in a city that's full of disappointments. You have the lady who shot herself last week at the Sox game. You have the double doink. You have the Bartman thing. We live in a city of disappointments, and we also live in a city of standards are very low and expectations are always high. And no one ever gets mad. No one's ever like, oh, the Bears suck. It's every single year. This is the year. We are the city of this is the year. And I've been listening to how good this Bears team's going to be since the end of last season. And I would like to say, as a Bears fan, can we shut the fuck up until the fucking game's over with? Shut the fuck up. Literally shut the fuck up. We have I'm just going to get this off my chest because I'm sick of this. This organization has done nothing for us. You take out 85, this organization has done nothing for you to think in the back of your mind that this might be the season. I don't care how hyped up this team is. I don't care how good the ceiling is for Justin Fields. Can we shut the F up? Shut the F up. There is so much this team has to prove. And you people, the Bears fans, you think this is a double-digit win team. You are out of your cranium.
What you are describing.
Sorry.
What you are talking about is exactly what gets Bears fans in trouble when it comes to setting their expectations for the year. Content is king, and NFL content is the emperor, right? In terms of sports, NFL content is the creme de la creme, the crown jewel. It's what everybody talks about. Even in the off season, no sport is talked about the way that the NFL lives rent-free year-round. It's the longest off season. It's the most talked about sport. Bears fans will take any modicum of positive news about the team and spin it into the largest web of just conspiracy theory,
they're lunatics,
big brain, galaxy brain type stuff. I am not absolved of this sort of behavior. There have been years before, my frontal lobe was developed where I would buy into this shit too. The fact of the matter is the Bears are in a situation this year where, yes, things can get dramatically better from being a 3-win team that won the NFL's number 1 overall pick in 2022. That is a fact.
Yeah.
The other side of that coin is that you have a front 7 that is going to be part of the bottom 10%, bottom 20% of front sevens in the NFL. The middle of your defensive line is going to be so porous through the course of this year. That will be one of the biggest things that the Bears have an issue with, is stopping the run. On the flip side, they have an offensive line that already coming into this year is dinged up and is having a hard time staying healthy. And they've got one of the guys that they've signed this offseason, and Nate Davis, who just simply didn't show up to anything for the preseason, did no practicing. Tevin Jenkins is injured for the first 4 weeks. And if you really start to put some things together, they don't have a real solid line in front of Justin Fields for him to grow in the first 4 weeks. So I think that expectations.
But if you ask a fan, they're going undefeated.
Expectations are dramatically high. And I think the reason that fans are excited is because Aaron Rodgers is gone. And for some reason, that opens up every avenue for Bears fans to say, well, then it's ours, right?
Wrong.
The Vikings are still going to be good.
The
Vikings
Lions are better than the Bears. The Lions are better than the Bears.
The Vikings choke come the playoffs, but they are still a very good regular season team with a very good quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins catches a lot of flack for the level that he plays at. They've got great targets. They always have a good defense. The Lions this year are only going to grow from what they did last year. Their defense was atrocious. It can only get better. They invested in that side of the ball. So the fact of the matter is, the Bears are still in a less than advantageous spot to take the North. I think that it's going to be a huge leap this year. I think this could be a 7-win team. I think it could be an 8-win team. I don't think that this is a wild card situation for this team is a dream. It's a pipe dream. If it happens, I'm happy to be wrong. I would love to root for playoff football with the Bears, but I don't think that it's coming. I do think that an upswing in enjoyable football watching is coming for Bears fans.
I just have to say this. If Justin Fields doesn't take that leap that everyone is expecting him to take this season, expect Caleb Williams to be the quarterback of the Chicago Bears come next year.
Yes, because the Bears have 2 first-round picks that they can use and move up in the draft with seemingly the Arizona Cardinals and put themselves in a position to take the best quarterback in that draft, Caleb Williams. So, like, the Bears are in a situation where the quarterback spot is fine.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine at the quarterback spot, rest assured, right? So I think that the biggest question for, maybe that's the way we do it. We answer the biggest question for some of the teams going into this year. And for the Bears, I think their biggest question is, who is Justin Fields? We know that he had a phenomenally successful 2022 campaign.
Who is what?
I think the question for the Bears in 2023 is, who is Justin Fields?
Yeah.
We know that he had a phenomenally successful 2022, but that was with running the ball. He didn't have receivers that he could throw to. So there was a scapegoat for him last year. Can he be the guy? I think yes, but we also have a lot to see from him, and that's what this year is all about.
I have one more thing to say about Bears fans. I just think I just think it's magical. It's like a kid during the holidays. Like, you get that little sparkle in their eyes, like, oh my God, Santa's coming.
Yeah.
Bears fans will get a platter of shit and will be like, oh, that's it. That package right there, that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. And it's DJ Moore. Now, no disrespect to DJ Moore. I'm not saying he's a bad wide receiver. He is something the Bears have needed. But is he a numero uno? No. I think he's a number 2 guy. I think you could get a better wide receiver come maybe next year or somewhere else. I don't think he's a number 1 guy. Please prove me wrong. But also, guess who's not a number 2, not a number 3? Chase Claypool, someone who does not know how to get separation and sucks ass. Chase
Claypool has proven that he is not great for locker rooms.
Too busy doing TikToks.
I think the Bears got scared last year when the Packers were the leader in the chase for Chase. and they stepped in and they threw what was essentially a number 1 pick at the Steelers, and the Steelers couldn't say no. I think that you're probably wrong in assessing DJ Moore as not a number 1. I think that he can definitely be that guy. I think he is a Ja'Marr Chase light. Smaller build, phenomenal separation, great in the open field. I think that he can be a light version of that. He is not Ja'Marr Chase, but he has a similar skill set.
I don't know. I'm at a point where I can't stand talking Bears stuff because I hear it every single day.
Then let's switch gears. Let's talk about the team that the Bears will be playing. Let's talk about the team that the Bears will be playing in week 1, where the biggest question is undoubtedly Jordan Love. What are your thoughts on Jordan Love?
Oh my God, Brian, it's the simplest thing ever. It is the simplest thing ever. I don't know why. I mean, I get because where we live. I don't understand how anyone else doesn't have this thought like I do. He's a Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Favre, Rodgers, Love. It is written in stone. Yeah. I don't know how people don't see it. He is a Hall of Famer. It took Rodgers a little bit to get going. Love, people. Now, I'm being facetious with all this. It's just the trend that it's going to happen to Bears fans. It's going to happen. Like, sorry, Jordan Love's going to be good. But to be serious, he hasn't gotten an opportunity to prove himself. Like, Bears fans give him so much flack. Like, he hasn't done anything. Like, you hate him because it's just the Packers. Like, I'm a guy that just enjoys football. He hasn't really played.
The Bears fans that are doing that are adamantly wishing and trying to speak into existence bad quarterback play for a team that for the better part of 3 decades has had Hall of Fame quarterback play. Favre into Rodgers is one of the best, 1-2 punches an organization could ever ask for. Yes, it's scary. We don't know what this guy is going to be. But the Bears fans that are doing it are just doing it because they are so fucking scared. They're like, please don't let there be 3 of them in a row.
I think I want to bet the Packers week 1.
There was a time. I feel like you have to dust off a book in order to remember this time. But there was a time when the Packers did not have good quarterback play. You have to go back to the mid 80s.
They sucked.
But there was a time.
Yeah, but who cares? That's so long ago, Ryan. That's like old school.
So that's probably the biggest thing that we're going to be looking for from the Packers this season. I think it's kind of a cop-out, but when you look at the Vikings, if we're staying in the North, their biggest question has to be
defense.
The defense, but I also think is this the final window? Is this year the last year for this iteration of the Vikings? Because a lot is riding on the final year of Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but
because if Cousins can't get them to a championship game this year, then he's probably out. If it's NFC championship game and out in the divisional round, I think Kirk Cousins is gone.
So do you think Kirk has the hottest seat this year?
I think he's got one of them because he's been there for 6 years now?
I think Justin Fields is pretty hot too.
Yeah, but his is different.
His will turn up as the season progresses.
His chair is a different size though.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is getting fitted for the hot throne.
Yeah.
Where Justin Fields is just a hot chair or a stool or they're different sizes. I think that you're right, but I think that there is a weight to Kirk Cousins because his team is in a championship window. He hasn't been great in the postseason, been great regular season. Kirk Cousins is a great regular season quarterback, but he hasn't been able to lead that team to the next level. The playoff win that team has, maybe they have a second, but I know the playoff team that
Case Keenum
it was Case Keenum that threw the Minnesota Miracle. It wasn't even Kirk.
Yeah, Case Keenum.
And you caught me there because I was going to say that was Kirk, but it wasn't. You're right. It was Case.
Case Keenum. Yep.
Right. So, but I do think the defense is a question mark for them this year too.
Yeah, because they got torched by the Giants. And no disrespect to the Giants, but like I saw it coming. The defense is horrible. And then I have to listen to it because I work with Vikings fans too. But I think this would be the perfect segue, Ryan, to just talk about the other quarterback that we've been mentioning numerous times already, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Oh, hello, Clark. Mr. Rodgers with the Jets. Also another team that people in the city are doubting. Like, are you that dumb? I think this is the dumbest. I saw a clip yesterday, Ryan. Someone said the Jets are the most overrated team this season. Oh, yeah? Then why are they a 2.5-point dog week 1 at home if they're so overrated? This is a team, Ryan, that was a quarterback away from making the playoffs and making a lot of noise. They made noise while having no quarterback. You're saying that if they bring in a serviceable veteran, future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, that this team isn't going to like take a leap?
You have Garrett
problems.
Wilson in year 2. You have a defense that's going to be formidable this year. Sauce Gardner is if you're assessing L's and D's at the NFL level, Sauce Gardner is a dog.
And then the leader goes to Quinn Williams.
Quinn Williams is a dog. I mean, he could get LD, he could get DL. I don't know what the fuck.
Give him the H.
Give him the H. He is him. That dude is legit. You've got so many guys on that defense that are going to make it very hard on opposing offenses. But I mean, you're getting a healthy Breece Hall back. You're getting Dalvin Cook in goal line situations. Their wide receiver room is laced with dudes that Aaron Rodgers trusts. That's why Alan Lazard is there. He might not be a stunner, but he's somebody that Rodgers trusts.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson, we've seen through the episodes of Hard Knocks, is somebody that Rodgers is going to trust. Randall Cobb is there, right? And I don't know how much time Cobb's going to get on the field.
Cobb's there to get the wide receiver room right.
I think so too. And explain to them, this is how Rodgers wants it.
Yeah.
That's his role there.
He'll do it for Rodgers, and then Rodgers will pave the way.
And the line is very good too. I think, depending on how well Rodgers gels with the wide receivers, this is a Super Bowl contending team.
I don't see how it isn't. I don't see how you can say this team is going to be overrated. I don't see how. I think it's properly rated. If anything, it's probably underrated, as shocking as that sounds. I think it's an underrated team. Maybe it's where I live and the people I'm surrounded by, and I have to hear about their takes. But I think you're a psycho if you think a happy Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play well.
Now, the issue is that the Jets are going to be in a situation where they are playing football games against 2 other Super Bowl contenders. The Dolphins and the Bills are no slouches. And depending on the health of Tua Tagovailoa, that's going to be a big impact on the success of the New York Jets as well, right? I don't wish that upon Tua. I actually wish that he gets a full season because I think the NFL has been rather deprived of a developed full season of Tua Tagovailoa. But just looking at things, right? The Jets are going to play the Bills in week 1 Monday Night Football. It's the Cowboys and Patriots. They'll also play the Chiefs. They'll also play the Broncos. They get the Eagles. That's already a tough schedule. You get the Giants, a playoff team last year. The Chargers, the Raiders, the Bills again, and then the Dolphins. The Falcons and Texans might be their 2 easiest games coming in weeks 13 and 14. Then you get the Dolphins again, the Commanders, the Browns, the Patriots. That is not an easy schedule.
When's their bye?
Their bye doesn't come until week 16.
No way. Are you serious?
Hold on, I'm looking.
I feel like it's like after that hard stretch of games.
Week 7, pardon me. Week 7.
Yeah, it's like the tough stretch, and then it gets easier after the break.
But, they're led by a dude who knows how to get you through the hard games. Right? It's easier to talk about Aaron Rodgers now as a dude when he's wearing a different green uniform than it was last year or the previous 19 years that he was in the NFL. It's easier to talk about him now. He is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. He is going to lead this team in ways that the Jets have never been led before. This is a playoff team, and this is a Super Bowl contender.
It would be a massive disappointment if they don't make the playoffs. And then he'll go, and then like we talked about, Ryan, Kirk Cousins has a bad year. Who goes to Minnesota? Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Boom. Almost going to the Super Bowl.
And that would be the craziest shit if it was the Brett Favre trajectory.
I want it to happen. I want it. And then he sends a picture to a cheerleader, and it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, or a NASCAR driver. Shout out to Danica Patrick. And then he does some
stuff in Mississippi, stealing money, dude. It's written in stone.
Be careful. I don't want you to get sued. I think the only team we didn't talk about NFC North is are you worried at all about the Lions? Is there a story with the Lions that brings you pause?
I think the Lions are kind of like the Bears. They're very similar. Like they'll have seasons where people are very high on them. This year, I think it's the highest I can recall the Lions ever having preseason. I don't remember them having a lot of hype.
This is the most hype they've had.
And they've had Calvin Johnson and Matt Stafford
on the same team.
People forget.
You might.
I like the Lions. They're like, as a Bears fan, I don't hate any team. It's kind of hard because I really enjoyed watching Aaron Rodgers, so I don't hate the Packers. I enjoyed watching the Packers.
Don't the Lions feel a little bit like the Seattle Mariners?
That's such a good take, but like the Seattle Mariners are in their own. I'll go on a little side tangent real quick. The Seattle Mariners are such a unique franchise because I remember growing up and always getting you remember the MLB previews for like SI and stuff like that, or SI Kids. They give you the preview.
Of course.
How many years in a row did we get a Mariners World Series and that team never made the playoffs?
Well, that's just because Jerry DiPoto is a crazy guy who always gives hope at the beginning of the season, but it doesn't always work out. Okay. Don't the Lions feel like the San Diego Padres?
The Jets would be, if the Jets are a disappointment, they're the Padres.
No, remember back 3 years ago, pre-motorcycle accident, pre-PED suspension, Fernando Tatis just coming into the league.
The exciting team.
It might have been, no, Machado was there. Yeah, it was like Machado just got there. Tatis came up. You had the emergence of Jake Cronenworth. You had some other pitching prospects doing some things. I think Joe Musgrove was there by that time. They were young. They were exciting. They were the team everybody wanted to see do good things. They had a breakout rookie sensation. Yeah. They had new jerseys. Then
they took a poop.
And now they're almost this team that everybody's pissed at for not being good because they should be, but they aren't. I think the Lions are headed for either Mariners or Padres territory.
Yeah.
They're the sweetheart.
And that's the beauty of sports. Like on paper, this should be the best team ever. On paper, that's on paper. Like on the field, they suck. Like I'm excited. It's an exciting football season. I think you can find joy in every single team this year, except maybe the Texans,
Arizona Cardinals.
The Cardinals. Yeah, okay. I don't want to watch a Rocket guy play quarterback.
So we've talked in large swaths about a couple of certain teams. Let's go through here. Do we have anything of note to say about the Bills? I know a bunch of people who are saying this could be the year that this iteration of the Bills starts to turn south.
I was just about to say it. I'm expecting a terrible season. I love the Bills. I love the Bills until they play the Chiefs.
I think based off of what we talked about with the Jets, what we loosely talked about with the Dolphins, this could be a year where the Bills have to go into the offseason next year and say, all right, we have to change a couple things up. Maybe that means moving away from the Micah Hydes that they just re-signed and the the linebacker that's there for the Milano. Maybe that means having to move away from some of these guys, Tre'Davious White, and move in a different direction. But I don't know that happens with Sean McDermott. Maybe it's a new head coach. Maybe it's a new OC. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Ryan, when was the last time the Patriots were the worst team in that division?
Pre-Brady? Pre-Bledsoe?
A long ass time. And you still can't count them out. They have Bill. You still cannot count them out. They will still be a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
But that's the easiest team in that division.
So yeah, I just that's what I think could happen, is that I think it's subtraction by addition, right? Like the Dolphins being great, the Jets being great, the Patriots being pesky could lead to a Bills situation where 2 years ago they were running it because everybody else was dog shit, and that's 6 wins a year for you right there. Now it might be a situation where they feel good coming out of it 3-3, coming out of it 4-2 in their in division schedule. I don't know. The NFC North is always going to be one that's interesting. The Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns. Did I say NFC?
AFC.
I meant AFC.
Yeah.
The AFC North is always an interesting one. With all the teams that I just mentioned, I don't know who the weakest link is here. It feels like the Steelers. It also could be the Ravens as they try to work through some new things. As I think this year, Lamar Jackson's going to be throwing the football a lot more than we've been become accustomed to.
Yeah, I think this is a leap year for the Ravens. I believe they have a really good season. You mentioned the Steelers. You can't count out Mike Tomlin. The guy has never had a losing season. You can't count him out.
Correct. And he's a great leader. And, the locker room really follows him because at this point,
could arguably be the most underrated coach ever.
Possibly. He's definitely on a short list of guys in the underrated category.
He's a guy.
It's just it's such a weird year because this is probably for the Bengals the last year of their big trio of wide receivers, because T. Higgins is up for a contract and is going to be looking for that, and it probably comes in the form of a trade. Burrow's up for a contract. Jamar Chase is going to be up for a contract. So this is a big year. This is the year for them to get it done, because this is Joe Burrow's last year on the rookie deal. Jamar's last year on the rookie deal. And after this, it's going to become increasingly more difficult to make it happen. So I think them going out and getting who was the left tackle that they got from Kansas City?
Don't do this to me. Just say left tackle.
You get it. Yeah. Going out and signing him to a large contract, right?
Yeah.
They had a decent draft. They've put some depth behind Joe Mixon, who is probably in his last year with the Bengals as well. And
he probably won't play.
We'll see.
He's much of a distraction. I don't think they need him.
But he's still on the roster through all the cuts, and he has made it through his legal situation. So I think that he probably does play for the team. So the Bengals have to get it done this year. It's an extremely high stakes year for them, because otherwise, again, like we talked about in other situations, if they can't, monetarily starts to get very much more difficult. The Ravens now in a situation with actual targets for Lamar Jackson. Fun.
Yep.
Fun. A healthy J.K. Dobbins. A healthy J.K. Dobbins. A defense that is always going to be good, and it's led by a guy in Roquan Smith, who is one of the best scheme fits for that defense in the entire league. He's going to be an all-pro this year. That's what everybody's kind of thinking about him. And what kind of step forward do the Browns make, if any? Because they've got a couple of things going for them, Cub.
Yeah.
A great defense with one of the best pass rushers in the game of football. They've got the best offensive line on paper in football this year. They've got great targets. They've got a bevy of different, targets for the man in question. Deshaun Watson, who is going to have his first full football season since 2019, 2018.
Sounds about right. It's been a while. I forget he plays in the NFL still sometimes, and then I'm like, oh, meh.
Led the league in passing.
The Browns are a unique team. I feel like they can be sneaky good, but I also can see them being just a flat out Browns team. Disappointing.
Yeah. Knowing how much pressure is on them this year, knowing that they've got somewhat of a target on their backs.
Will we see the old Deshaun is the question. I don't think we will. I don't think we'll ever see him again. I think it's just, I don't know. Last season felt so weird that I felt like I'll never see that Watson again.
Other questions. Nick Chubb is getting up there in age. In terms of a running back.
Obviously, yeah.
Because I think he's really only 28. But in terms of mileage, that dude's run the ball more than most others in the National Football League the past 3 years.
He doesn't share the ball.
He did. But Kareem's gone. Does Amari Cooper start to take a step back in his year 29 season?
That's part of the problem why I think they're going to drop. I feel like the two guys you just mentioned, they're getting there. They're old.
Can David Njoku take a step up for that team?
He does.
Will Elijah Moore reach some sort of potential with that team, right? Like there's so many question marks with that roster. And a lot of it has to be pulled together and sort of tied together by the quarterback play of Deshaun Watson, who is the overarching umbrella question mark over all of it. There's a lot of good things in place in Cleveland. Again, one of the best defenses in football, probably the best on paper offensive lines in the game of football. But the skill positions, there's a lot of loose question marks. So that's why, the talent is there, which is why the Steelers feel like the low man on the totem pole in this division. But it also very well could be the Browns that are the shitters here.
Yeah. What's the team you're... Sorry.
The Browns could be the Browns, is what I was going to say.
The Browns are the Browns. What is
not the hash
team
browns.
That you're like... Hey, tell me about no.
What's a team?
What is a team that isn't your favorite team that you're very excited to watch just because they feel like they'll be exciting? I'm going to try and think of one.
The Jaguars.
Wow. That is the answer. Now tell me how fun the NFL is when the Jaguars are good. 2017 should have been the greatest football season that ever was scripted ever.
Instead, it never was.
Cheated out of it. We got cheated out of it because of a holding call. But if there are offsides, what do it? Oh, the Patriots get this and this and that. I wanted to never watch football game because I've never rooted for a team harder in my life than the 2017 Jaguars because that defense was so freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was
they were like the Bears. They were the Bears in different jerseys. Like it was sucked, but done.
So the Jaguars this year, Doug Peterson year 2.
They're gonna be so good. They're gonna be so good. Calvin Ridley, they got him for nothing.
Calvin Ridley's back. Christian Kirk in year 2 in the offense was very good last year. Travis Etienne. They drafted Tank Bigsby. My hope, I have a lot riding, fantasy-wise, on the future of Trevor Lawrence. This is the centerpiece of my only dynasty franchise. Trevor Lawrence is a guy that this is part of the reason why they're not my favorite team, but one that I'm very eager to watch. Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence are at the centerpiece of my dynasty football team. And that's why I really like watching them. But other than that, even if take out those added like personal interests, this is a team that's ready to take that next step that just needs to know that it has its quarterback. Trevor Lawrence had a terrible rookie year, had a great year 2. Can he start a trend of great quarterback play for a second year? That's what we're looking at this year.
Now, you mentioned your fantasy team. Now it's time to mention mine. I drafted the same 2 players you just mentioned based off first of all, for the people listening, Ryan calls me for my fantasy advice. I don't know why he trusts me, but he does. And when I was drafting, I was like, who am I going to get quarterback? Because the guys I wanted were taken. I was like, oh, let me just go with my sack here, and I'll take Trevor Lawrence like I told Ryan to take. And then I was like, oh, I guess I'll take ETN too. So, yeah, we're on the same boat.
So looking through the AFC South further than that, Titans, circus. Houston, circus. Indianapolis, Circus Olay. Indianapolis, Circus Olay, because it's a circus you want to see.
Yeah, I want Anthony Richardson to be good. I want him to be really good.
I do too.
Cam Newton 2.0. You put that on anybody, I'm buying.
And he already has some young options around him. I really like throwing him with Downs. I really like throwing him with Michael Pittman. I really like that whole little group of wide receivers they have there. So interesting and fun. You know, Michael Pittman Jr., you got Alec Pierce, you've got like I said, Downs down there as well now.
Yeah.
And you know, if Jonathan Taylor decides he wants to play for the Colts this year, that would be a fun position group. They've got a good offensive line. Their defense isn't what it was 3 years ago. Get Jim Irsay out of here. But I think that's also a storyline this year. The storyline of the interference of owner and GM and how prevalent they've been in the media cycle for this team is something else that makes them relatively compelling to watch.
I agree with all that, Ryan. I got you said everything with the Colts. They're not that interesting, but they're a team.
Cirque du Soleil. AFC West. How do you feel? This was the division last year, mind you. I know people in my circle that were calling for the clean sweep. The AFC West played the AFC South last year. And I had people in my circles that were talking about the AFC West completely sweeping the AFC South in all play last year. And then you might remember the Colts beating the Chiefs in week 3 of last season. And that was just a huge debacle. I don't think that we got exactly what we were looking for from the AFC West last year, given the hype.
Yeah. Well, the Chargers, dude. Jaguars.
The Chargers or the Jaguars?
No, the Chargers when losing to the Jaguars.
Oh, right.
In Chargers fashion.
Yeah.
Dumb. They're such a weird team. I've been having them. How long has Justin Herbert been? 3-4 years? I've had them taking a leap since his sophomore season, and they have been the same team for years.
Yeah.
For years. They haven't made the playoffs. The hype behind Justin Herbert is ridiculous. Yet to make the playoffs. Except for last season when they choked. Blah, blah, blah.
I think part of that team's issue is its coaching. I like Brandon Staley. Staley. I think that he brings an interesting mindset to the NFL level, but he goes to the extreme side of what he does with the 4th down attempts and with the analytics and statistics and data and everything that he reads off of to try to make that team his own, right? There is just some times where you can't beat traditional football.
Yeah.
There are just some times where you got to punt it, where you got to pull up for the long field goal, where you can't go for it on 4th and 8, even though you're in the opponent's territory. There are some times you just have to give up on that and know when to be aggressive. Brandon Staley, I love it, but it's also way too much. And I think that's probably that team's biggest issue because they have all of the talent in the world. Their defense is great. Their offense is great. They've got phenomenal weapons. They've got a dude that can throw the ball 70 fucking air yards. That's insane.
And for that, I'm out.
So looking through the West, though, like the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs. Fully expect the Chargers to be the Chargers. What kind of step forward do the Raiders make? Do they take a step back? No Darren Waller this year. No Jimmy Garoppolo. Or I'm sorry, no Derek Carr this year. Jimmy Garoppolo steps in.
It's a lateral move. It's a lateral move. Is that a different quarterback? No.
Does Josh Jacobs repeat in any sort of way? There are statistics that prove that he might be just fine. I don't know that he'll lead the league in rushing with such dominance like he did last year. But there are things pointing to that he may. And then the Broncos, which have been one of the more fun stories to follow this offseason, and the marrying, forcefully, might I add, of Sean Payton with Russell Wilson.
No. Sorry for yawning.
It's okay.
I think they take a big step forward this season.
I
think
do
last
too.
year was just, I don't understand people that are just saying, they're just writing Russ off after one bad season. They're like, oh, he was having bad seasons before he got to the Broncos. I don't care. I don't think he wanted to be there that second half of the season against the Seahawks, or on the Seahawks in 2021. And you bring in Sean Payton, a guy that's done it, the guy who's won Super Bowls, or a Super Bowl, sorry. And you give Russ time to know the offense, know the team, build chemistry, quit being corny. He has yet to post a video. I think that is a tall tale sign that this team is different.
Yeah.
This team will be different. The defense, we know the defense. We remember last year, the defense was so good that the offense couldn't score 15 points and win.
Being able to watch Nathaniel Hackett work on Hard Knocks and see how he interacts with players and stuff, it's given everybody an opportunity to see how maybe he was a head coach for the Broncos last year. It's very buddy. It's very I'm your friend. It's very much not what you want out of a head coach. There are players, coaches that have the ability to level with their players, but never, I don't think, should there be a friendship between coach and player. Again, this is a situation. Top of the show, we talked about Deion being in a position to know how men want to be led. I don't know that players want to be friends with their coaches. I don't think coaches should be friends with their players. Did you see this recent story that came out about how Sean Payton is telling Russell Wilson to approach his public persona?
No.
So Sean Payton, this is according to an ESPN report, told Russell Wilson to salvage his career. He needed to focus less on Russell Incorporated. Apparently, Sean Payton was quoted as saying, will you fucking stop kissing all the babies? You're not running for public office. Was the quote that was captured.
I think I remember seeing that quote. I love that. Yeah.
And now Mickey Loomis, the GM for the Saints, was asked about this quote and what it might mean in relation to Russell Wilson and his relationship to Sean Payton. And Mickey Loomis said, well, Sean Payton can be difficult, but he's 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone all the time. Now, Loomis and Payton are like best friends from their time spent together in New Orleans. So
yeah,
I think that this team takes the leap that it needed to last year, this year. The issue is they're starting the season without their number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, but they still have solid pieces around that offense. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I think it's a Cortland Sutton breakout year. I think it's a Greg
100%.
Dulcich breakout year. I think it'll be really fun to see what Javonte Williams looks like with a Samaje
Perine
backup. Yeah. They've built a great offensive line. They've drafted on that offensive line. They already have a good defense. They always have a good defense there in Denver. And so I think that if there's any usurping to be done, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They are up top. But I think the Broncos could very well move into that second spot, pick themselves up a wild card spot, be in an advantageous spot once the playoffs roll around.
100%. We're on the same page with this team. Buy in.
I'm excited for them. I think that if this isn't a fantasy podcast, but if you're in,
but we live in fantasy world.
Thank you, Barbie. If you're in like a dynasty situation, if you're in a regular redraft situation, Russell Wilson's a dude to target. Like if you can get him for something cheap.
I think I picked him up.
Russell Wilson's not a bad dude to have this year. We talked about the NFC North. I think we could do the NFC South really quick. You ready?
Go ahead.
Panthers, Circus. Bucks, Circus. Falcons, Circus. Saints.
Circus Olay.
No, the fucking Falcons.
Circus Olay.
My Cirque du Soleil. My Cirque du Soleil of the NFC South is the New Orleans Saints. Rebuilt defense, gunslinger quarterback, gunslinger backup if things go wrong with Carr. They've got Chris Olave, Michael Thomas coming back this year. They still have all the little ins and outs and twists of, an offense that has Taysom Hill in it. The running back situation is going to be weird, but Alvin Kamara will be back. My biggest question mark for the team is what is Dennis Allen going to do in year 2?
It's a whole new team. I think they will win the division, but Falcons will be a lot more fun to watch, Ryan.
Why? Because of Bijan? Bijan's going to touch the ball 50 times a game. It's going to be the Atlanta Bijans.
They have Kyle Pitts, Ryan.
Kyle Pitts has been trying to break out for 2 years. In the same offense, Arthur Smith is still there.
They're still looking for a quarterback.
God, I'm not doing this. Desmond Ridder to Kyle Pitts for a yard. With 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that's the first completion today for the Atlanta Falcons.
Cuteism.
We talked the NFC North, like I said. NFC East, Commanders, Circus.
Olay.
Cirque du Soleil.
Circus Olay.
I know you're saying, slow it down. What are you saying? Circus.
Olay.
It's not Olay.
Well, it's Olay.
This is Colby's personal circus. Is the Circus Olay. There's a bunch of bulls and matadors. Olay.
That's the circus.
Eagles will be very fun this year. I think it'll be a big year to tell us what Jalen Hurts is. We had a phenomenal year last year. Big money in the offseason. What is he? Is my question this year.
Him.
I hope so. I love watching Jalen Hurts.
Him.
But
that defense is going to be lethal, Ryan.
Yeah, suffocating.
Buy in on Jalen Carter to win Rookie of the Year at plus 700. Get your bets in. That defense is too good for him to be the person offenses are going to have their eye on. There are other pieces that they will keep their eyes on.
I think 3 years from now, Bears fans will be like, oh, we could have had Jalen Carter. You always have to remember what was going on draft night, because for where the Bears are in their rebuild and where the Eagles are in their situation, very different situations, very different risks that you can take in those scenarios. So I will always be okay with the Bears not taking Jalen Carter, but I will always also really wish that Jalen Carter was a Bear should things pan out the way people think they will. The Cowboys, I think, are going to be fun this year. If not for like on the field play, for Jerry Jones reasons.
Screw Jerry World.
Yeah. I feel bad for Dak Prescott after they traded for Trey Lance. I feel bad for him.
Hopefully Tevin or Trayvon Diggs will have some more tweets like that we can talk about.
Yes. I mean, the defense I think is still going to be very good. That's a very well-built defense.
Yeah, I like Micah Parsons a lot.
Micah Parsons is incredible, and he's got DeMarcus Lawrence across from him. That's a 1-2 punch that's up there with any in the NFL. Back end looks really good for them this year. The running back position, what are you getting out of Pollard coming off of an injury? But you still have CeeDee
Pollard.
You still have CeeDee Lamb, who's probably going to be a top 3, top 4 wide receiver this year in terms of production. He's right up there with the Jeffersons and the Chases, and those type of gentlemen. I don't know. Cowboys feel like 9-8.
They sound lame.
Yeah. And the Giants, I think it'll be fun to watch the relaunch of Daniel Jones.
Vanilla Vic.
He is the poor man's Josh Allen.
He's not as bad as I thought he was going to be.
He's Josh Allen light.
Great value. Get great value.
The great value Josh Allen. I actually like that better. And what can he do with some improved targets? Darren Waller, Hyatt's going to be down there this year. Darren. Oh yeah, you know Darren. You have a picture with him.
Yeah.
Great offensive line.
Nice
lot of rumblings coming out of Giants camp that the center John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota is going to be like a Hall of Fame level talent. They love that guy up there. Defense will be
one
just
of us
fine
might be
too.
taking the Giants to win.
Cub, I can sense that you are tired. I can sense that you have to poop.
No, I don't have to poop. You psycho. The only person that has to poop is that person on that plane.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to that. Tell me, of the teams in the NFC West, which one makes you the most excited?
NFC West.
The Niners, Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals. Because my choice, though I am confident the Niners will be great this year, is the Seattle Seahawks. Because I think that they took some really big steps last year defensively, and they invested again defensively in the draft. That number 5 pick, Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. I think that they really used their assets wisely this offseason to bolster the defense. Already have a great offense, and they used another number 1 pick to take Jackson Smith and Jigba. The wide receiver room looks great. JSN, DK, Tyler Lockett, who's the only receiver in that room that you can't refer to by initials.
Yeah, I mean,
Kenny Walker, Zach Charbonnet, like the list goes on and on.
They're the most likable. They're one of the most likable teams in football, easily. How do you not like Geno Smith? DK Metcalf helps with that.
But that's the question right there. What happens with Geno Smith this year?
Hey, remember when they wrote him off and he didn't write back?
He might have to write back this year. He might have to write back.
He will not write back.
Most exciting team.
Scott, come on. You already said it.
The Niners?
No, not even after Nick Bosa getting his bag today. Knowing how awesome they were last year, I'm praying it's the same, but I will take the Seahawks, I think.
Yeah.
Although I do like the 49ers.
Yeah.
How can you not like Brock Purdy?
Are that level of good right now where there's not much you can say about them. It's kind of like when we were talking about the Eagles, like, okay, like they're just that good. So
do it again.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you had to pick 2 teams from each league for a championship game situation, who's in your championship game? AFC, NFC.
I want to say the repeat.
Of last year, exactly.
I'm kind of leaning towards that.
So Chiefs and
but Eagles. But
no, the championship, the AFC and NFC championship games.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jets. I can't think. I can't give you an answer.
I'm going to go Jets Bengals.
Jets Bengals?
AFC championship game, Jets Bengals. All rides on the health of Joe Burrow and that calf that everybody's worried about, and whether or not that lingers throughout the season. But Jets Bengals sounds like a lot of fun to me. The NFC, I think, it's not a very stacked league. So I think that you probably get an Eagles 49ers.
I mean, that's already a great game.
Tough to beat.
I like it. So, I also hate that you said that Patrick Mahomes won't go to the Super Bowl.
There's going to have to be a letdown somewhere.
Jets, Chiefs.
Every single
Chiefs,
year.
49ers, Eagles.
You don't like it?
Jets, Chiefs, 49ers, Eagles.
Duh. I think that's probably a good sign that we have run our course. Would you like to talk about shit on an airplane or college clowns before we go?
College clowns?
Yeah.
You can run that course for me. I'm listening.
Do you want to know about college clowns?
Sure.
Okay. I thought this was a fun story. USA Today says a college geography professor named Joseph Tokash has a clown fetish.
Hey, we don't kink shame here on the Missed Call podcast.
Well, we might. He offered extra credit and cash to students to let him paint their faces. Tokash resigned after student journalists at Nichols State University exposed his behavior. 2 students reported him to campus police, but he was not charged with any crime. So the paper wrote a story about him and said that Tokash once wrote, "I have a face paint fetish and convinced the cute girls in my classes to let me paint their faces. If anyone is looking for some extra credit or cash, I am looking for people to practice face painting on. I will literally pay you."
What kind of paint is he putting on their face? Were we talking
washable paint?
Oh, I was thinking something else.
Cubs talking about cum on this episode of the Missed Call podcast.
I'm not a sailor, but I know what that is.
He might be a seaman. Did you want to talk about shit on an airplane before we go?
How can we not? Come on. We were talking about booty scooting earlier. Let's talk about the real booty scooter. There was a man who crapped himself on a plane.
He shit his britches.
Ran to the toilet down the aisle and had shit everywhere and was such a biohazard that the plane had to turn around.
Yeah.
Now, imagine...
Don't make me turn this plane around!
Imagine being on that flight with your shirt covering your nostrils and then you're not even going to where you're supposed to be going.
Yeah. Infuriating. You talk about all the delays in travel lately, and like that is the thing that hinders your traveling.
Some poop.
There are so many traveling nightmares. There are so many things that when somebody does it on the plane, you're like, are you fucking kidding me? How do you lack that self-awareness? Bringing stinky ass food on the plane, bringing a baby on the plane, not wearing deodorant, taking off your shoes when you don't have fucking socks on. All these things, listening to music without headphones in.
Criminal.
Bringing a baby on the airplane.
Criminal.
All of these things are terrible. Even all of them together, would you rather all of those things together, or somebody shit on the airplane and then the plane turns around.
Well, I can solve all that with headphones. The smell, you're just adding 2 smells. I mean, I'd rather give me the food. Give me the food. Give me the kid. I can turn my volume all the way up. I'd rather smell bad
just
food.
died. Your headphones just died. You forgot to charge them. That's the other layer of hell I forgot to mention.
I'm taking a whole bottle of melatonin.
Didn't make it through security. I don't know. I'm trying to cut out all the loopholes.
There's someone on the wing. That's what I'm doing.
He's like, I took an edible before I went to the airport. It's like,
there's someone on the wing. Something. Sir, can you please get back in your seat?
Are you doing slam poetry right now?
No, that's you're uncultured. Never mind.
Probably. And I'm also going to end this podcast, I guess. That's episode 144 of the Missed Call Podcast. Cub, let's bow our heads in prayer for this upcoming football season. Dear God, we thank you for another season of grown men throwing their bodies around like weapons for our pleasure.
Go Tigers.
We appreciate the ability to use them as fictional characters on fictional teams and brag about them to our friends.
Go Tigers.
We also appreciate the ability to gamble on these grown men doing their job. And in all likelihood, we will probably lose a significant amount of money. Thank you for the freedoms you provide us, Lord. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Happy football season. Happy watching. We're back next week to recap all of it. Well, some of it. We'll do it together on the Missed Call Podcast. This is episode 144. I'm Ryan Sartori. That's Colby Marcio. We'll see you next time.
All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah. Never seen a pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't call back, leave me alone. Please leave a message at the tone. All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah. Never seen a pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't call back, leave me alone. Ay, please leave a message at the tone, yeah. Ay, ay. That AT&T, never gon' answer me. That thing you think, I'ma pull up the thing. Hey, I only get the thing, yeah.
The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.